Hello everyone, and welcome to Tarot is Ridiculous. Okay, so we've been doing this for a little while now. As I said, I still can't believe that I'm still showing up and doing this podcast. It is quite a miraculous. But what is so great is this is the start of my celebrating Australian tarot people. And some of you might have noticed I've got an accent. I get asked all the time where I'm from, and generally I have to tell people keep going further south, like no, way south. So I thought I'd bring some of my southern buddies to the northern hemisphere for you all to meet. And my first one is Trish. Trish, thanks so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be on your amazing show. Thank you so much.
So Trish, tell us a little bit about how you found tarot and how you use it in your life.
Well, interesting story. 9 years ago, it was when my grandson was born. I was up north here in Queensland visiting my granddaughter, and I had to go to a crystal shop because I needed to buy my other grandchildren a crystal, as you do.
As you do.
And at the time, I didn't have any cards, and I wasn't a reader. I was a psychic. I could bring messages in, but I didn't have any cards. And I was at this crystal shop, and this deck was on the shelf, and I just had to have it. I just had to have it because it was an infinity symbol. So I bought it, and then I got home to my daughter's place, and I went, "Oh, shite! It's tarot. I don't know how to read the tarot." And that's when I learned, and I really just learned online through watching and through studying the cards. And it's something that has come really innately to me. I'm just really able to, I know the basics of the cards, but I'm able to interpret each different deck, as you know, has different images. So I'm able to interpret all of the different images in the different decks. But, if somebody's first starting out, I would not recommend this deck. It's very difficult, but I loved it. And so that's when that was it. And now I have a zillion decks of cards, including my own.
As you do, because you don't stop at one. I think that's the tarot curse, isn't it? Once you've got one deck, you don't stop it. Why would you stop it? Don't stop at one, because I create these for a living. Just keep buying them. But it is interesting, when you say, because every deck is different. As a deck creator, I try so hard to make the same card different every time I am sitting down to design a deck. And one of the great things for me is to see all the different deck creators and see all the different decks and look at how each deck creator has been inspired by this archetype or by the energy or by the meanings and created a visual map, because that's really what we're doing with tarot, isn't it? Giving these intangibles a visual.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why I love so many different decks. It's because I know the basic meaning of the card, but I interpret each deck differently depending on who I'm reading for, what the theme is, all the rest of it, and what messages I'm receiving. And I find the images in each of the different decks will bring different messages through for me. So I love all the different decks, and I still stick with the true meaning as well. But yeah, I love all the different interpretations that the artists have, and things will draw my attention from each of those. So it's really fun to explore. And the way I use tarot in my work with people is to bring those messages in. I'm usually guided to which deck to go to. It's not a choice I really make. I'm just like, okay, which one? And whichever one I'm guided to always has the perfect image, the perfect message, and it's the perfect deck for the person I'm working with. And I use the messages to really empower people to really live a life they're proud of. I'm not so much future predictions, although I do that as well. But I like to use the messages to really say, hey, well, this is possible for you. Let's look at this. This is really possible for you. So I like to empower people. Yeah.
I love that you just said you let the deck step forward for the reading, because I do that as well. And I think it's something that is so, I don't hear many people talk about it. And I don't know whether they just don't know whether other people don't do it or not. But I think if you're listening to this podcast and you're a newbie, sometimes the deck chooses you, not the other way around. The decks have very specific energy and they have very specific stories they want to tell. And sometimes they actually come forward and they say, nope, I'm the deck for you, which is kind of the experience you had with your first deck, the Infinity Tarot, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I know sometimes I'll have 3 or 4 decks in front of me and I'll be doing readings online and I'll be shuffling. I'm like, right, what do we need for this person? And nothing will come out. I'm like, okay, wrong deck. And then I'll be guided to the next one and a card will fly out immediately. So it's absolutely correct. Your spirit knows which card you need to bring the message through for that particular person. And so to trust that. So there's probably people doing that, but maybe they don't know that they're doing it. So this might bring some awareness to that. Yeah, and to trust it.
Absolutely. And also trust if you've got a deck and you don't seem to be connecting with it, or you don't feel that it's doing what you want it to do, that's just not the deck for you. So It's like, this deck is not a vibrational match, or it may not be a vibrational match for where you are right now. So put it up for a minute and try a different deck.
Absolutely. Yes. It's, the reading the cards is a matter of trust and knowledge, but choosing the deck is also a matter of trust.
Exactly. I think that's a great segue to our card for today. Okay. So, all right. So we just had a major technical glitch. It's all right. You might have noticed this version got edited. We're picking up where we left off. And I was just asking Trish to tell us about our card, which I think just crashed our whole system. So Trish, let's try this again. What's our card?
So I love all the cards. I find potential and possibilities in all of the tarot cards, but the one that I do get excited about when it comes up, that not everybody gets excited about, is the Tower card. Fingers crossed we don't crash again here. When the Tower card comes up, it's so different in every deck. Sometimes it can be quite graphic and quite horrific, and it looks quite scary. And, many people kind of go, oh no, the Tower, my whole life is falling apart. But I see it as transformation. I get so excited for this when it comes up, because immediately I'm like, yes, something's crashing down, not necessarily in a bad way. Something's crumbling and something new can be built now. And I get super excited when the Tower comes up. Yep.
I have to say it's one of my favorite cards too. And here's the Tower card from the Soul Cat's Tarot, with the cat pushing the lamp off of the bookcase, because cats have no problems creating tower moments for us all the time. And exactly. As I was saying before everything went crazy here on our recording studio, is that we are recording this in the middle of the eclipse, and this particular eclipse cycle has definitely been creating some monumental tower moments. So it seems really appropriate to talk about this card and speak about
it. Also in a retrograde. Also in the Mercury retrograde.
Yeah. Also in a Mercury retrograde. So I think it's really good to talk about this card in a non-scary, really practical way, because I agree with you. I think people get freaked out with this card, but it's really a very logical card, and it usually pops up in the most logical place along a person's transformational healing journey.
It really does. And so in one of my favorite is the Gilded Tarot. And so in this particular card, it does look quite horrific. It's like, oh gosh, everything's crashing down. But I love the comparison between this and your card with the cat pushing the vase off, because it really is like, what don't I need anymore? I've built all this stuff. I've built this foundation. It's wobbling. There's something that's not in alignment with me anymore. What is it that needs to be pushed off the shelf so that I can be more in alignment with my surroundings and with my life, and then start to build even stronger foundations and stronger elements in my life that feel better. And, going into the eclipse season, we're being asked to have a look at those shadows, and we have a look at those things that are no longer in alignment. And as you know, the universe will just tap us gently on the shoulder until, we don't listen. And then, the vase breaks.
It taps gently till it doesn't tap no more. And then it's like, all right, listen, I gave you a warning. This is
I gave you a warning. Exactly. Yeah, let's speed this up a little bit.
And I think what is really interesting about the cycle we're in right now, which will be the cycle that we're in until 2025, is Chiron is very present in Aries, which is where the eclipse is at the moment. And that's big healing. So yes, there are going to have to be things that are going to have to be removed in order to get to either the future self or the healed aspect of the self, or the self that's creating the new life, because you can't take all of that with you on your journey forward. So the tower will kind of rock some foundations and blow some stuff up out of necessity.
Exactly. And it's a little bit, I'm getting a picture in my mind here of a practical situation of, you perhaps buy a block of land that's got a really old house on it, that's the foundations are crumbling. You're not going to build a new house on those old foundations. Like, right. It needs to all be cleared so that you can start again. But, not everything in our life needs to be cleared, just the things that are feeling heavy, because we change daily, yearly. Like, we change. What was in alignment with you last decade may not be in alignment with you now. But if you keep trying to force it to be in alignment, the universe is going to step in and go, let's remove that, so that you can have the openness, the space, and the energy for the new to come in. So it's a real transformation card in my eyes, and I just feel really excited when it comes up for people, and try to get them excited about it
too. Yes, our aim for this podcast is to get you very excited about seeing the tower card in your reading, because I think you also touched on something too that is a valid point, and I think for new readers, they forget this because they see these cards as really big, and they make them really big. But we do go through a tower moment every single day. So every single day where the tower is having an influence, because every time we change our mind and make a different decision and go on a different path, the tower then has to crumple something in order for us to move forward. So it works small and subtle, and sometimes it works a little larger. As Trish says, like, if you haven't taken notice of the nudge, well, it's going to push.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll feel off. So, if I'm doing a reading for someone and the tower comes up, they probably have come to me because they're feeling a bit off about something in their life, whether it's their relationship or their finances or their career or their health. And the tower will come up to say, yes, confirming that feeling is correct, and it's time to create the new. So it's a really empowering card when you can see it like that.
That is a golden nugget right there, Trish. That is something people really need to be mindful of. The tower usually precedes a feeling of unease, or your own intuition letting you know something's either out of alignment, it's not quite right, or things are changing, but you can't quite put your finger on where the cycle is, because this isn't the wheel, and this isn't death, and it's not it's not the world card, but it has similar kind of vibrational patterns to it, but it's a little more difficult to see until the stuff does fall over.
Exactly. And just something's popped into my head about your graphic on your card. It's like, okay, well, what if that was your cat dropping that off the shelf? Do you celebrate because you've got space to put something new, or do you get cross at the cat? And I mean, this happens. People get cross at the universe. At the universe. Like, why'd you do that? But instead, see it as an opportunity. Oh, now I have an empty space. What can I build there? Because it is an opportunity.
It absolutely is. And I am going through a tower moment, because I actually think like towers the tower can actually be a period of time. So the eclipse for me is definitely being a tower moment. My card died on the lunar eclipse, and it just got carted away to the junkyard this week. And I was angry at the whole, so I was angry at the cat. But now with hindsight, I'm like, I'm glad it's gone, because now I get to get a new car, which I've wanted for years. But I know this cycle isn't quite finished yet, so I'm like, no, not yet. So it's one of those things of, sometimes when the tower appears, it may require you to actually take no action at all while things are, and wait till everything has settled, because the landscape's going to look completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. Because otherwise you're just inviting in the same energy anyway. So if you were to get a car right now, you'd probably invite in a car that would also break down. So probably best just to wait until the end of the month.
Taking those bricks that just fell down and you're trying to put them back on, and it's like, no. Anything else before we finish up about this card that you'd like our listeners to know about?
I would just like people to be excited when this comes up, rather than feeling a sense of dread. So if the tower comes up, ask yourself, right, if a space is created here, what would I fill it with? What am I now in alignment with, and what am I not in alignment with? And I also just want to say, if this comes up around in a relationship, it doesn't mean you have to totally, vacate someone out of your life totally. That doesn't mean that either. But perhaps there's an opportunity to make more space in your life for more aligned people. So I would see it as an opportunity rather than a moment of dread.
Now, because this podcast is going to actually drop after the next eclipse cycles, so for those of you who are watching these in order and you watch them every week, why don't you just pull one more card to put with the tower? Because I'm kind of curious what the tower's message is for us as we go through this, and we're going through this Mercury retrograde as well, because this is a very unusual astrological energy at the moment.
Well, this one just flew out, which is the sun. How appropriate is that? So for me, this is saying just keep shining your light. And I also want to say that with the eclipse season, there's a new light that wants to shine through from within you. There's a new light that wants to shine through. So that's very appropriate with both of the eclipses. It really is about filling those shadows, those darker spaces with light, so that you can be more of your light and your sun. So it's also a very creative card, the sun. So perhaps some new creativity, shining your beautiful light to fill in a space that is about to be created for you.
That is so good to hear. And the sun is meant to be, and we're not doing an episode on the sun just yet, but the sun is also one of those amplified positivity cards. So they say that when the sun shows up, it shows a positive outcome. So there's a positive outcome to all the craziness that's going on right now. And for some of you, it won't feel crazy. For some of you, actually, things are going to just be aligning so fast. You're wondering what is going on? Why is my luck so good? Don't question it. Go with it. It's the eclipse. Some of us clearing the path, right? So we're either lining in that destiny, or clearing the path for that sun to come through one way or the other. That is perfect.
Absolutely. And be patient, because, I kind of feel like April, and I've said this to a few people now, I feel like April is that creation building, new alignment building, but it may be not until the end of April or maybe beginning of May that you actually start to see things coming in and aligning. So be patient.
So where can people find you and all of your amazing services? Because like now that we have put a big spotlight on you, we've created sun on you now, Trish. How can people get in contact with you? What is the best way to follow Trish?
Okay. Well, I'm on all the socials. You can just look up Trish Rock, or you can go to my website at trishrock.com, and all of my services and information and some free resources and everything, they're all there for you to go in and have a look. But I'd love you to follow me on Facebook as well. I'm also on Insta. So, yeah.
And you will find the link to Trish's website in the show notes for this episode, regardless of what platform you are watching it on. Well, thank you so much for being here, along with the technical kerfuffles and our own personal in-studio tower moment. It was lovely to chat with you, and I hope we get to do this again real soon.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been such an honor, and I hope it's been very helpful for your audience, and they can relax now with the tower.
Relax. It's okay. It's okay. All right, everyone. That is our episode of Tarot is Ridiculous this week, and I think the podcast actually lived up to its name, because this was a ridiculous way to record a podcast this week. All right, everyone. I will see you next week with another amazing Australian tarot person. So until then, bye for now.